Hello and welcome to round 10 of the 2013 AFIA Indycar Series, coming to you from the magnificent Road America circuit in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. And just a quick recap of the season so far. It's been a pretty interesting one, with a complicated point scoring system, but in a nutshell, Scott Dixon has won 3 races, Frank Montagny has won 2, as has Simon Pagenaud, and Juan Pablo Montoya and Will Power have won a race each. The last race took place at what looked like Talladega Motor Speedway, the super speedway based in Alabama, and the winning gap between Montagny and Dario Franchitti was 1/100th of a second. That was a tight finish. There's the circuit itself. A few long straights, 3 very fast sections, one leading into turn 1, then turn 3, and then leading into Canada Corner. And we're expecting between 2 and 3 pit stops between the competition. This pit window should open between lap 9 and 12, and then the 2 stoppers would come in between 12 and 14. And then about half distance, 18 to 21, is when the second of the 3 stoppers take place. Lap 24 to 26 is when we should expect the last of the 2 stops, and then a little bit later on when the last of the 3 stops come in. So taking a look at the grid, it's Scott Dixon who takes pole position for MPR America, that is Pedersen's American counterpart, in the Honda engine and on the red softer tyres, using them to full effect. Sébastien Bourdais for Beast Mode takes second, and he's joined by Dario Franchitti, potential championship contender, third on the grid. Will Power is next up. He's on the red soft tyres, and the harder tyres marked by the black walls. And most of them have opted for the black walled hard tyres on this quick circuit, so they're hoping for a good race. So 5 lights go on, bit of a pause, and then the 5 lights go out, and a good start from Sébastien Bourdais from second on the grid as he powers ahead of Dixon going into the first corner. There's a bit of jostling in the back of the field, but it looks like it is going to be Sébastien Bourdais who takes the lead, and that's good for him on the black-walled, harder tyres. We'll see how much of an influence they have during the race. Now, it says that he was on the black-walled tyres, but it looks like they're red sidewalls to me. But anyway, here comes Dixon, going to have a look back at him, going into turn number 3. Down this long back straight they go. And we see Castronov is making a move on Power. The inside, and shoving him wide goes Scott Dixon as he retakes the lead, but it is Franchitti who moves up to second position. Power is now up to third, and Bourdais is having a nightmare few corners as we round these fast corners. Bit of a braking zone into this left before the carousel. Not that I want to use a reference from a previous FF1M race here, but snap on as we go for a ride through the carousel. Dario Franchitti is looking very, very quick. And side by side through there, that's dangerous, and Scott Dixon's having to use a bit of curb on the exit. And that loss of momentum has cost Franchitti a shot going into a Canada corner. Now the final few corners. There's a left-hand kink, and then the final right, which is quite quick. Some advertising on the right-hand side, Cola. That is not Coca-Cola, but Kohler. Don't know what that is, but that's what the sponsor says. Franchitti side by side with Dixon as we go on to lap number 2 out of 40. Into the first corner, that is a neat slipstreaming manoeuvre from the Scot. Driving for Beast Mode. Can't remember who the counterpart is, I'll have to double check that. Beast Mode is in fact... I know Team Super Best Friends is Joseph Newgard and Takuma Sato. That'll be the Gi Racing counterpart. There's some more side-by-side action between Franchitti, Dixon and Power going through there, and coming up behind him is Elio Castroneves. And there's Ryan Hunter-Ray, who suffered an unfortunate race last time out at Knott Texas Motor Speedway, where he had an engine failure on the second lap. So some concerning cooling issues going on there. Power dropping back a little bit from Dixon and Franchitti. Must have made a bit of a mistake coming out of turn 3. And Dixon's right behind Franchitti as we go through the carousel. Trying up the inside again, going into the kink, and once again that's not going to work. Except this time around it was Franchitti defending his position from Dixon. Now into Canada corner, not close enough this time, and there's a battle behind between Castroneves and Hunter Ray. Castroneves on the black walls. Hunter Ray looks like he's on the softs. And pulling away a little bit now from Dixon is Franchitti. He's got a bit of a useful lead. So Dixon dropping back a little bit. And now coming under pressure from Will Power in the harder tired Shod car. Will Power driving for Willows Indy. So the American counterpart from the Willows team. Joseph Newgarden is the fastest driver on track at the moment. The team super best friends. Shortened to best friends for short. Seem to remember there's a Twister Kick team in here somewhere. That will be the Tornado counterpart. Simon Pagenaud and Justin Wilson drive for those. As we go side by side with Scott Dixon, outbraking him goes Will Power into second position. And see behind Castroneves and Hunter Ray having another battle, and Bourdais is looking to rejoin that particular action. There is Hunter Ray for the Newman-Haas Ilmor, the Ilmor-engined Newman-Haas. Not represented by any of the FF1M teams. He was a bit of a late entrant actually. Only joined the series from round 6 onwards. That would have been the Indianapolis Road Course race. Side by side through there once again. That's not going to work. These drivers need a bit more intelligence if they're going to make some decent overtakes. And a side-by-side action between Bourdais and Castroneves. Not quite. Castroneves blocking a little bit. As we shift the action back onto Hunter Ray, who must surely make a move on Dixon this time around. On the start-finish straight with this steep uphill climb initially. Fairly evenly matched power. None of this Ferrari versus Mercedes comparison in FF1M. No more, of course. As Hunter Ray moves up to third position with the outbraking manoeuvre into turn 1. I say outbraking, it's a very quick corner. And Dixon running a bit wide, he's off the track and he's lost a position to Castroneves. He's going to lose them to Bourdais if he's careful, and he's done just that. Bourdais up to 5th position. And Dixon is in all sorts of trouble. Because he's got what looks like Oriol Servia. That's Oriol Servia challenging Bourdais for 5th position going into turn 3. And he's got the position. And making a move, Briscoe gets ahead of Dixon. And just behind Dixon, is that Hinchcliffe? Oh, and off the track has gone Ryan Briscoe for the Resta Racing Ilmor. And he's going to have to wait until the entire field gets past him. It's a costly error for Dixon. And off the track at the carousel goes 2 drivers. Goodness me, is that Takuma Sato who's rejoined? No, it's Montoya for the Rectory Honda. I think Rectory is the Andy Racing counterpart, or Andrew F1 counterpart. And spinning goes James Hinchcliffe for the FJR Ewing. So he's going to drop some positions. Lap 5, it's kicking off as Joseph Newgarden has a look on somebody. It's hard to tell because these teams don't follow exactly the same liveries. But we are looking at Newgarden for the moment. And just ahead of those two is Scott Dixon. So Dixon's having a bit of a nightmare at the moment. As we look at Simon Pagenaud for the Twister Kick Chevrolet engine. Tornado counterpart. On the harder tyres is Pagenaud, looking to make a move on Joseph Newgarden. It's turn 1, but that's not going to work. He's dropping back. And now he's under pressure from Ed Carpenter in the other Newman-Haas Ilmor. And outbraking him, that was a demon move from Carpenter as he now has a look at Newgarden. Here's Townsend Bell, who takes a wide line through Canada corner. I think he's got an issue and he's going to pull off. And goodness me, that's a ramp that he went over and inevitably into the barriers. Now here's Dixon having a look at Castroneves, who himself is having a look at what could be Takuma Sato. But also it's hard to compare between the two ABC cars because they drive for different teams. We concentrate on Dixon, and just behind Dixon, who is that? Is that Briscoe making a recovery? Into the carousel, what's going to happen here? We saw two drivers go off here on a couple of laps ago, but no such problems for the train that is behind Castroneves. And Dixon looking to make a move into the kink once again, but once again that's not going to work. And now Dixon is under pressure from Joseph Newgarden in the best friends Honda. But no chance of outbreaking into the Canada corner. You need to be properly alongside as we have a look at somebody making a mistake and crashing into the barriers. I don't think that was Hinchcliffe, and hitting the tyre. That could have been Takuma Sato. But out of the race goes someone who shares the livery as Justin Wilson. That could have been... It is Justin Wilson, actually. So now I know who drives the other gold car. And Dixon side by side with Castroneves through the first corner. Now he's going to have to wait until turn 3 as they have finally cleared up the car. Who else have we got? Takuma Sato in 13th position. Graphics not being too friendly to me at the moment as Dixon looks at making a move once again, but he's got it this time on Castroneves. Brake discs glowing through turn 3. And up to 7th position after what has been a bit of a difficult race for the Pedersen American counterpart racing, as into the pits for his first of 3 stops comes Will Power. That's from 2nd position. So Franchitti still leads. Hunter Ray now moves up to 2nd. Servia will move up to 3rd position unless he's making a pit stop, which he isn't because he's moved up to 3rd. Bourdais up to 4th position. As out of the pits in 5.6 seconds comes Will Power. It is a very long pit lane. I'm suspecting the 2-stop is going to be the better strategy here. As we look at the silver car of Connor Daly. So it's actually Will Power we're looking at, as he looks to make a move on Montoya for 7th position, having just come out of the pits. So he's done alright to maintain a top 10 place. And 9th position Marco Andretti, 10th position Ryan Briscoe. Sato's moved up to 6th position. So it looks like whoever was in the other ABC car was going off the track at Carousel. Franchitti and Hunter Ray come into the pits for their first stops. They're in a 3-stop window, so it looks like 3 stops for them as well. A new set of reds come on for Franchitti, and he will rejoin. Servia takes the lead, so I suspect he's going to be 2-stopping. As out of the pits comes Franchitti. Where's he going to rejoin? Behind Pagenaud. So, and is that behind Sato and Power as well? Indeed it is. So he's rejoined behind Montoya. So Franchitti rejoins 7th. But I think he's the first of the 3 stoppers on the circuit. AJ Allmendinger comes into the pits from down the order. And he's someone having a bit of an anonymous race. Is Tony Kanaan. Didn't have a good qualifying. He's on the Blackwall tyres, so that would explain some of that. A Power outbreaks Sato going into turn 3. And I would love to know who is 2nd, because I don't know who car is. It's Ed Carpenter. Yes, I should have known that. It's actually Power who's the first of the 3 stoppers who's going to be in the net lead once Servia, Carpenter and Pagenaud make their first stop. So it's worked out very well for Will Power, actually. And Sato and Montoya 5th and 6th, former FF1M drivers. Montoya race winner, in fact. In the Masters era, he won with, I believe it was Exolite J Racing, as side-by-side action between these 2 drivers, whoever they may be. I think it's Franchitti we're on board with, who's looking to try and get back ahead of Montoya. Indeed it is. Hunter Ray in 8th position. Bourdais 9th, Kanaan 10th. Expecting Servia, Carpenter and Pagenaud in the pits. Servia is indeed in the pits, right on cue. Is that going to move Carpenter into the lead, or is he pitting as well? somebody else coming into the pits. And Carpenter and Pagenaud look like they're in the pits as well. So Power is now in the lead. Hunter Ray moves to 4th behind Montoya and Franchitti. Montoya's definitely 2 stopping because he's yet to pit. And look at this. He's now under pressure from Hunter Ray as Castro Neves sets the fastest lap of the race, down in 8th position. Kanaan has moved up to 7th, so on the 2-stop strategy he's already pitted, in fact. So Kanaan's done very well. A side-by-side between Montoya and Hunter Ray. That's 2nd position for Ryan Hunter Ray. So now he must give chase to Will Power if he's going to challenge for some sort of result. And Dixon down in 10th position at the moment, so the first round of pit stops plus a difficult race has not worked out well for the Kiwi. As we go on board with Franchitti through the carousel, as he looks to overtake Montoya, who must surely be due in the pits very soon. It's the kink once again, side by side. It's always not going to work. These drivers never learn. He's in the slipstream going into Canada corner. Can he outbrake Montoya? Not quite. Montoya defending his line. A bit wide on the apex, and right up his 6 is Franchitti. As we go through this left-hand kink underneath the bridge into Cola Curve. Not to be mistaken with Coca-Cola Curve at the Nürburgring. Into the pits comes Montoya, so Franchitti will move up to 3rd position. On board with the twisted kick of Pagenaud now as he looks to challenge what could be Takuma Sato on the right-hand side. Probably isn't. In fact, Sato is right behind this lot. And Sato follows Pagenaud through. Overtaking Montagny, that will be. That was a bad lap for Frank Montagny as Marco Andretti has moved up ahead of him as well. Battle between Servio and Castro Neves, that's for 6th position going into Canada corner. And that's a position for Helio Castro Neves, the popular little Brazilian. So the order at the moment as we approach half distance and the 2nd pit window should soon be opening. Power leads from Hunter Ray, Franchitti, Bourdais and Kanaan. And then Castro Neves, who I believe is challenging Tony Kanaan right this moment. So ABC car is in fact Tony Kanaan. So he has done very well as Kanaan to go from 16th on the grid up to 5th. And behind this lot we've got Servia challenging Castro Neves. And then, I presume not far behind this lot, there is Joseph Newgarden, then Scott Dixon, and whoever the heck Dow is. As Franchitti comes into the pits for his 2nd stop, almost at exactly half distance, maybe a lap earlier. On go a brand new set of reds. And out of the pits comes Franchitti in 6.3 seconds, so a good stop for him. I think Kanaan has made a pit stop as well. Indeed he has, because he's dropping down the order a little bit. So if Kanaan was one of the first to stop, then he can use new tyres to progress through the order a little bit more. As Franchitti rejoins in 10th position for the Beast mode. Now then, a battle for the lead between Power and Hunter Ray. And Power into the pits. Ryan Hunter Ray continues for another lap. So let's see how quick Will Power's stop can be. Trundling down the pit lane on the speed limiter. And the Willows Indy driver pulls into his pit box. A new set of blacks go on. Now the pit's in 5.8 seconds. Another good stop for the Willows Indy car. Let's see what Hunter Ray can do on his in-lap. Whether he can do anything about Power, who has rejoined ahead of Franchitti. So there's a good stint from Power. He's now behind Hunter Ray, Bourdais, Servia and Dow. Montagny into the pits, as is Dixon, as we have a look As we shift onto Ed Carpenter, actually, who is going to run wide at turn 2. Is that going to make the tyre barrier? It is. He's lost part of his front wing, so he's going to have to pit to change that. Poor error from Carpenter. As into the pits comes Ryan Hunter-Ray. From the lead, this is an important pit stop. He went 1 lap longer than Power. And Bourdais into the pits as well. So I think Servia is going to briefly take the lead. Once again. And 6.8 seconds is the pit stop for Ryan Hunter-Ray. How quick is the pit stop for Bourdais? No idea. And Dal is in the pits as well. I'm going to check who Dal is. Dal. Connor Daly. That's who it is. He's had a pretty good race, actually, as Connor Daly, from 21st on the grid. As we look at Ryan Briscoe challenging somebody. Who on earth is sharing the Ryan Hunter-Ray livery? Well, it's not Ed Carpenter, that much I know. No, it's Franchitti versus Hunter-Ray. That's for 3rd position. What on earth am I on about? Graphics can be a bit misleading sometimes. It's Oriol Servia who leads at the moment from Willpower. In this battle for 3rd position between Franchitti and Ryan Hunter-Ray. Pagenaud lies 5th position at the moment. Lando Norris is best friend. Takuma Sato is up to 6th position. He started 19th on the grid. He set the fastest lap at Talladega last time. Then again, Talladega was a slipstreaming war. In qualifying, the whole grid was covered by less than a tenth of a second. And made a bit of an interesting race, actually. Just seeing how close the pack can run together. They're all well behaved, oddly enough. Up the inside into 3 goes Hunter-Ray. He's going to shove Franchitti wide. That's allowed. Sort of. As Willpower is now right up behind Oriol Servia. He must surely come into the pits soon on his 2-stop strategy. But it looks like the new tyres offer a massive advantage. In fact, there's a lapped Ed Carpenter who's trying to get him on the mix of these two. So it's a 3-way battle for the lead, but one of them is a lap down. Going through turn 2, this is Power's next opportunity, and he's got a good run coming out of there. Now on this back straight, one of the 2 back straights. Up the inside now of Oriol Servia goes Willpower, and if he can outbrake him, he will retake the lead. Indeed he does that. The Willows Indy's back in the lead, and on his fresher tyres I expect him to be very quick as Servia goes behind Ed Carpenter. And Servia really struggling at the moment on his worn rubber. He's desperate to make his 2-stop strategy work. Now he's got Ryan Hunter-Ray all over his gearbox. Through the carousel they go. Very long corner, very fast, very quick. And you're not going to overtake into there, sunshine. But you might be in enough of the slipstream into Canada corner. No, I don't think so. So once again, a naive driver tries to overtake going into the kink. But Servia missing the apex there. I think he was in Nevada rather than Wisconsin. Is he due in the pits this lap? Hard to tell by the way he's driving. Indeed, he's in the pits, so Oriol Servia has had enough of those tyres. Now he's got to make his final set last 16 laps. That's going to be a tall order, but with tyre wear being as it is, he'll do well. As we look at Scott Dixon, who is looking to make a move on Montoya. He's in the slipstream. It's 2-stopping Dixon. Well, 3-stopping Dixon, having already made 2 stops, against the 2-stopping, having made 1 stop, Montoya. So it's worked out to an extent for some of the 2-stoppers. Simon Pagenaud has moved up. Newgarden's on a 3-stop, and he's up to 6th position, having started 17th on the grid, so it's worked out well for him, the 3-stop. And look at this, Dixon and Castroneves, and there's going to be contact. Off has gone Dixon, and out of the race has gone Dixon. Goodness me, that was a big shunt. And it was a Tony Kanaan who hit him for the FJR Ewing, but Kanaan's going to rejoin. Let's see what happens here. Dixon blocking a bit, and that was a bit optimistic from Kanaan. Just braking a bit too late on the outside. So FJR Ewing's race has not gone well. All that's moved Connor Daly up to 7th position. Castroneves up to 6th. Marco Andretti up to 9th, and an AJ Allmendinger 10th at the moment. As into the pits for his final stop goes Will Power. The target must be to get out back ahead of Servia. I think he should be okay. But let's see what happens as he goes into his pit box. On go his final set of Blackwall tyres. And 6.2 seconds for the Willows Indy. Drop down to 4th so far. Where's Newgarden? In fact, Castroneves is coming into the pits as well. Newgarden's passed him, and he's ahead of Connor Daly. So Will Power looking very secure. And barring any misfortune, looks good to take the win, I think. At the moment it's Ryan Hunter-Reay who leads, but he needs to make his final stop. Frankie T now leads as Hunter-Reay has made his final stop and has got Oriol Servia behind him. It'll be a good effort for Servia if he gets ahead of him. Drives for Turn Left Development Racing or something like that. Trying to get up the inside into turn 3. Hunter-Reay late on the brakes, and hence why he's kept that position. What should be a net second. Once Franchitti and Newgarden make their final stops. We have a look at Montoya versus Castroneves. It's turn 3 and Castroneves getting a tank slapper and has lost a position to Montoya as a result. So up to 9th goes Montoya. Somebody has gone off at the kink. Who on earth could that be? Oh, I think it's Newgarden. It could be Newgarden who's gone off. Let's see what happens as Will Power tries to get the inside. And, oh, there's contact between the two. And Newgarden goes for a spin. Goodness me, that was frightening. But he should be able to rejoin. And everyone's slowing down to a bit of a halt as Newgarden tries to recover onto the grass and back on track. Here's a replay from Power's perspective. Never really alongside and just barges him out of the way. Poor driving from Power. But he's going to retake the lead as Franchitti makes his final stop. A bit later than everyone else, so he's going to be quick on his final set of tyres. 7 seconds is the stop. And just on the top left, the graphic now shows Power back in the lead. Where is Franchitti going to rejoin? He has a chance of rejoining second after Hunter-Reay and Servia got delayed. No, not quite. Hunter-Reay takes second and Servia takes third. On newer tyres, and 4th goes Bourdais. But on the freshest of tyres, Franchitti can charge up. I think he's got 3rd place on the cards. As we look at Castroneves versus Montoya. That's how it should be done. Take note, Will Power. And in the midst... Oh, big spin that! Look at that. Takuma Sato and Montoya goes for a spin, and he's lost his wheel. So that was a pure driving error from Juan Pablo Montoya, and he's out. That will move Connor Daly up to 9th position, and Marco Andretti up to 10th. Who we're looking at, Franchitti. Here's his charge. He's going to get Bourdais first of all. Bourdais in the slipstream of Servia, but Franchitti's got the bigger advantage as Servia defends fresh air going into turn 1. That's not worked out at all. I think Franchitti could get Servia going into turn 3. He's got a good run on the Spaniard as the Scot. 2 countries beginning with S going to battle. Franchitti at the inside going into turn 3, and he's already in front of him before they reach the braking zone. And just outbraking him to make sure. So that's third position for Frankie T. Can he do something about Ryan Hunter-Ray? Don't know what the gap is. As we look at Bourdais versus Servia. Two legends of Champ Car. Bourdais, a 4-time champion in the real variant. Has driven in FF1M, has actually won races. For the Dodgem team, I seem to remember. Nowadays, he's racing in the AFIA Indycar series. And at the moment, he's doing well. 5th position. 3 stops for him compared to Servia's 2. It looks like it should be a foregone conclusion. Going to turn 1, goodness me. Brave move from Bourdais. And that's 4th position for the Beast Mode. Now behind Servia is another pair of 2 stoppers in the form of Pagenaud and Sato. But it looks like it should be all okay for Oriol Servia because 2 stops. Well, let's see what Pagenaud can do about Servia. As we look at Will Power, who's going to start another lap. And he's starting to come under pressure from Ryan Hunter-Ray now. So there is going to be a battle for the lead in the final few laps. Hunter-Ray took half a second out of Power on that lap. It's a bit odd actually, because Power is on the harder tyres, the more preferred race tyre. Hunter-Ray, is he on the softs? We'll have to get a graphic of Ryan Hunter-Ray. Should get a nice onboard with him very soon. As we approach turn 3, Hunter-Ray's got a right slipstream. Look at him as he closes the gap between himself and Power. Power started 4th on the grid, Hunter-Ray started 6th. They've had good races. Power's a little bit messy at times, shunting Newgarden out of the way at one point. Wonder if he's suffering from some damage after that. Pagenaud's taken Servia for 5th position somewhere. As we go through the left before the carousel. Snap on. I best not overuse that joke. Ryan's probably going to have the inevitable feint up the inside into the kink. Power defending it slightly. And that was not too badly done from Power. Hunter-Ray lost quite a lot of momentum after that. Worth noting that Joseph Newgarden, despite being shunted by Power, still sits in 9th position ahead of Connor Daly. I think he got past him at some point. In fact, I seem to remember it was Connor Daly and Marco Andretti that were 9th and 10th, so Newgarden making his way back up the order. Indeed, Ryan Hunter-Ray is on the Red Wall softer tyres, and look at this, he's already in the lead as we approach turn 1. That's the lead for Ryan Hunter-Ray in the Newman Haas Ilmore. So despite having joined the season a bit late, Ryan Hunter-Ray looks like he's going to take his first win of the season if it keeps going like this. Now then, we're having a look at Joseph Newgarden versus Elio Castroneves into turn 1 once again. And that is 8th position for the Best Friends Honda. Even though it's sponsored by Chevrolet on the side, that's controversial. Ooh. Newgarden feeling need to defend a little bit going into turn 2. Onto the back straight, Castroneves is in the slipstream. Can he do anything about it? He can. He's trying to get up the inside, going into 3. Newgarden defending a little bit. And Castroneves pulls back into the slipstream for the braking zone. Sensibly done, but that's 8th and 9th for Newgarden and Castroneves. Sato's done well to hold 7th position on his 2-stop. Servia looks like he's going to take 6th, Pagenaud 5th. Bourdais 4th position. Despite starting 2nd on the grid, he's kept his nose clean. Franchitti quite close behind Power, but I think it's going to remain 3rd behind the Aussie. But it's going to be Ryan Hunter-Ray who exits the final corner onto the start-finish straight and to take the victory at Road America. Very well deserved after his race, starting 6th on the grid and stealing the lead from Power pretty much at the end of the race. And there's confirmation of the results. And key retirements, we had Townsend Bell, who had a suspension failure, Justin Wilson, who crashed, Scott Dixon, who also crashed but rather was punted by Tony Kanaan. Poor race for the FJR Ewing team, down in 16th and 17th. so something didn't really work for them. Fastest lap in the end went to Elio Castroneves. So he was very quick on his final set of tyres. And then again, that could have been in the early part of the race. Who knows? Maybe in the next graphics we'll be able to see what lap they set that lap time on. That's an idea. So what on earth does this do for the Drivers' Championship? You get 50 points for a win and then it goes down bit by bit. It is still Scott Dixon who leads the championship at the moment. Will Power holds second, just 22 points behind the Kiwi, so it's a battle between the Oceanic drivers. Montoya sits third in the championship. He's close behind, so he could do something about it yet. Pagenaud fourth, Bourdais sixth, and then rounding out the top 10, Franchitti, Newgarden, Castroneves, Daly, and Tony Kanaan. Next round will be at the street circuit setting of Montreal. That will be at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. So, we shall see you for then.